Right, so did games get worse, or have we just gotten older? That's the question. Because let's be honest, a lot of our views on gaming are based on nostalgia. I know for a fact it's a lot less common for me to stumble across a game these days and go, you know what, this is really good. I love this to bits. It does happen. I've recently played through Cyberpunk and Sleeping Dogs, and I love them both to bits. It took me ages to get around to Sleeping Dogs, and I'm very glad I did. It is an incredible game. Like, some of my games are objectively bad in people's eyes. Stuff like Grab by the Ghoulies didn't sell well. Conquer didn't sell well. You know, stuff like True Crime, again, sold terribly. But I love them to bits, and I still believe they're underrated. Whether that's, personal bias and nostalgia, or whether that's, because they're actually good games that just sold badly, it's up to you. It's not really for me to say. But then there's the other side of it. Games these days release in considerably worse states. Is the potential for games a lot higher? Yes, absolutely. Stuff like Cyberpunk, that wouldn't have been possible 10, 15, 20 years ago. Not a chance. The attention to detail in that game is insane. And if it wasn't, for stuff like, bugs and development issues and constant pushbacks, I would genuinely have believed that game just took 10 years to develop. It's that good. There's that much going on. And it's one of my favourite games of all time, but then there's other situations like how Cyberpunk launched, where games just launch like that now. Of course, that's an extreme case, but every single game launches borderline unplayable sometimes. Stuff like Fallout 76, where it's just, the game was borderline unplayable at the beginning, and people genuinely thought it was just an awful game. So sure, the highs might be higher these days. Some of these games that are releasing now are insane, but you've got to sift through so much to get to these good games now. And people looking back and going, you know what, things were better 20, 30, 40 years ago. I don't blame them. And it's not like these games were groundbreaking these days. Like, if the original Mario released these days, yeah, it might do well. Stuff like Shovel Knight sold incredibly well. But it wouldn't have been the revolutionary game it was. Sure, no, of course not. But I'd rather play through the entire of Mario 1 100 times than have to play through Cyberpunk on launch day. Of course, I played it on PC, so it was much better. But if I had a PS4 at the time, I would have lost my mind. So, of course, it's a case by case, but I think as a general rule, things have gotten undeniably worse recently. And I'm very glad the gaming's where it is, so I can play games like Cyberpunk and genuinely enjoy that time. But I'd much rather be in like 2008 and just play Mirror's Edge again, you know what I mean, than have to deal with that. And if Cyberpunk launched 2 years later and it was completely fixed and it was fine, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But stuff like that and Fallout 76 happening, it's hard to turn around and say, you know what, gaming's in a better place than it was 10 years ago. But I don't know. Let me know what you think, but in my eyes, things have gotten worse. A lot worse. But yeah, drop us a follow, and I'll see you tomorrow, I suppose.